Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Legacy Up channel. My name is Giovanni Rodriguez. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm dedicated right now to building my businesses, but also constructing a true legacy. And that's what we talk about on this channel is I'm here to help you identify what could possibly be your legacy. And if you already know what your purpose is and what you're really looking to build in the long term, then I want to help you accelerate that process. I want to help you do it correctly. I want to give you different viewpoints, give you different concepts that'll help you legacy up. So not just level up, but legacy up. And I'm going to be talking about long-term success, the mindset you have to develop and have to grow and develop an actual legacy, which is something that long lasts you, which means when you're not here anymore, that could be passed down to generations and generations and to even your family, other people. It doesn't have to be only wealth, and we'll talk about all those different topics on this channel. And thank you for tuning in. I hope you get a lot of value out of it. Subscribe, like this video. It'll help me reach a lot more people who are looking to build their legacy and looking to have a great, incredible impact in this world. We need more people that are more focused on the long-term effect they're going to have on the world, and this will help us have a lot more impact in everything we do on a daily basis. So appreciate you subscribing, commenting. I'm all up for suggestions, so look forward to seeing you in the comments below. Now, let's get into today's topic. Interesting, because this is going to be the first video where I'm going to be going a little deeper into somebody else's legacy or somebody who already has a legacy, and going a little bit of an analysis of what we can learn from other people, because I'm a big believer that we can learn from other people's mistakes, but also we learn from other people's experiences to be successful or to avoid certain mistakes that maybe others have had to go through. We could avoid them and go past those pitfalls by analyzing other people's experiences in life and how they built their legacies. So part of the channel is going to be videos like this one, which will focus on specific figures. It could be people who are big names, but also I'm going to be looking for also all different types of people. And today is more of a big name, right? It's the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. And I bring this because yesterday, the 16th of August, is when he passed away, and a lot of people in this month of August are actually commemorating and celebrating the life of Elvis. And I think it's very important to bring him up, because not only is it because it's in August and this is when we hear a lot about his legacy, but he has an incredible story, being from Memphis and coming up in a time where America was way different than it is now, and him being able to do what he did and create the long-lasting legacy, right? Because now he's been gone for so many years, and yet still his legacy lives on, which is what we talk about in this channel, right? Is what are we going to leave behind? Are we going to be spoken of when we're not here anymore? And even if we're not spoken of, at least what other aspects, characteristics, values, concepts, our character, all these things we can leave behind for other generations, so that they can be better off, so that they can make a more positive impact from the very start of their lives. And that to me is one of the most impactful things as humans we can do. And Elvis actually has a tremendous story, which is why I wanted to go give you guys 3 points of how Elvis's legacy was impactful and the things we can learn from Elvis's career and just legacy and incredible life that he had during his time on Earth. So it's an incredible story. Being Elvis, at a very young age, I believe it was at 21, he was able to turn into basically a star, and it was incredible the way he was able to fuse the genres, right? Which is why Elvis is a musical icon, is because in that day and age he fused blues and rhythm with country music and even gospel. So he had this fusion that was not seen before. Now we actually see a lot of artists nowadays. It's like normal for us to hear musicians, artists that have a fusion and have different inspirations in their music from different backgrounds fused together in one song. But Elvis was one of the first ones to actually fuse genres and make it his own style, even with his dance, right? And the way he performed, he was just an excellent, amazing performer. And to be, I'm going to be very transparent. I'm not a Elvis Presley fan per se. I really only know like 2 songs, Hound Dog. I think there's one called like Jailhouse, and so I'm not a diehard fan, but I do respect the legacy, and I do understand that there are some things we can learn from what Elvis was able to accomplish and the legacy he left behind, which is why I want to get in. This is why I want to get into these 3 main points that we should consider when speaking of Elvis Presley's time on Earth. The first one I want to mention is like I was just saying, on how he was able to fuse these different genres. He dared to be different in a time where that wasn't the norm in music. He actually dared to go with his instinct, go with his passion, and it worked out. And he just became a phenomenon. And it was because he dared to be different, followed his passion, and found his purpose. Remember in one of the previous videos I did, we talked about that. We talked about how finding your purpose, your passion, will lead you to the legacy. And that's what Elvis found. He was able to find his passion in music. He dared to be different and go against the norm. So he didn't care about what other people had to say. He danced a different way. He sang a different way. And it just resonated with the people. So that's the first point we have to learn from his legacy, is that legacies a lot of times are built off of something that is very unique to you and the unique value that you could provide in a specific situation to a specific group of people. In Elvis's case, it just spread like fire because in music, you're able to touch a lot of people. So in that specific niche, which is music and artists, that is why sometimes they become so successful, is because their reach can extend. And even Elvis was impressive because in his day and age, he didn't have anything that we have today of social media and all these other technological advancements and that reach. He literally was able to do what he did in that time with just radio and television, and still it was not the same reach because not everybody in that time had a television, and it wasn't the same. So it even makes it even more incredible. And it was because he was different. He dared to go with what he was passionate about. He went for it, and he made it happen. I mean, perfect example that we have to go with our passion and also find our purpose. And once we find that purpose, we walk in it, we go straight forward, we don't look back, and we go for it. And that's what's going to help you have the breakthroughs. That's what's going to help you find the legacy that's going to be long lasting. And that's what Elvis found. He found that his particular expertise was performing, was singing, was dancing, and he just killed it. And now there you go. He is now a legend in music. So we all can have that type of impact within our specific niches. Maybe not that global or massive impact that Elvis had, but we can all make massive impacts in people's lives, in an individual life. Maybe even if it's not in 1,000 people at once, but if you could just make a very strong impact in a small community of people, that is great. But that takes for you to dare to be different and push forward, and great things will happen, just like they happened with Elvis. The second point I would like to bring is that even if you are successful, because Elvis was successful in singing, right? His first 10 years, or almost 10 years, it was all singing, and it just went up, 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 and he was just a pop sensation, a rock and roll icon. And then what happened at the peak? He actually made a shift and found a way to deliver value in a different way, which was acting. And then during the 60s, he was actually in a lot of films and movies. And then he went back to singing in the 70s. So he found a way to diversify and use other talents that he had to continue with the momentum within his legacy and within the success he was having. So that's something we have to think about on a daily basis, is once we reach certain pinnacles and certain success points, then we have to find other ways that we can diversify our talents and create more success and more reach and more impact and influence. And Elvis's way of doing it was he was able to go into acting and to movies in addition to singing, because he found out that he had a passion for performance, and then he decided to shift that from just the singing on stage to now on the screen. And that's what we have to do as, entrepreneurs and legacy builders. Be it if you're in a corporate job or if you're an entrepreneur, you can find ways to diversify. And once you've reached a certain pinnacle of success, you continue to develop yourself in other areas, and that way you start discovering other things that you can be of value, in other areas that you can really show value and provide value. And that's a big key to creating a legacy, is that you have to stay the course, and once you're on course and you start seeing some great results and you have momentum, not just to stop there, you have to continue that momentum and look to diversify, right? And that way you're able to impact even more people's lives, and you're able to provide even more value to the community that you're already impacting. And that is where you're able to extend your legacy even further. So that's something that Elvis taught us, with him being able to diversify between acting and singing, and just cemented him as an incredible performer in general. The third point, and probably the more sad point, but I have to keep it always real and honest on this channel, right? And I want to bring you all the reality of the situation. And unfortunately, Elvis is also really known for the tragic way in which he died of abuse of drugs, or drugs that he was given by a doctor, but either way they were prescribed drugs, but he was still abusing them, and that's what is said that eventually led to his death, this addiction. So this third point is that bad decisions can really end a good person's life. Bad decisions can end a good person's life. So we have to be very critical of our decision-making skills. And that's within life in general. A lot of times we're going to be provoked in certain ways to make the incorrect decisions, and we have to have the resilience and the correct mindset, correct values in place to be able to check ourselves and make the right decisions in critical times during our way to creating that legacy and during our long-term success and during our journey. That can become difficult because as you maybe achieve certain milestones of success, with that comes certain negative aspects such as ego, arrogance. I mean, we see it a lot in the cases of musicians and artists just like Elvis who have unfortunately gone through negative circumstances because of their bad decisions, even though they were legends and were of great impact within their genre and within what they were trying to do. They still made the wrong decisions at critical points that led them to ending their legacy maybe sooner than it should have ended. So we have to remember that bad decisions can really make things go bad very quick and end a good thing. It can end a good legacy. And unfortunately I believe that's what happened with Elvis. He unfortunately didn't have that help, was not able to get out of that addiction, and it led to his downfall. And unfortunately now it is a part of his legacy, and we have to remember that the good and the bad is going to be a part of your legacy. So make sure that your decisions are always aiming towards the good of your community, the good of the people you serve, and the good of your mission, and the good of what your legacy is and where you want it to be. You always have to keep that in mind. You can't go off track, because it's easy to go off track once you start hitting certain success points and you start, receiving a lot of, attention, or you start having this power of influence, or you can start going in the wrong direction really quick and make bad decisions, and bad decisions can end a good person's life. Remember that. And unfortunately that is a part of his legacy now, is that tragic death and that negative aspect of him, of his drug addiction. So that's stuff we have to really focus on. I think it's an important piece that some people just don't think about. We make decisions on a daily basis we don't think it's going to affect us or our family, and it does. And if you're a legacy builder, you're on this channel, you're looking to build something great, you have to understand that those decisions are critical, and they are going to be critical and are going to affect your legacy. They're going to affect how you're remembered, and you have to keep that in mind. So do good things in life, because life is good. Don't let those bad decisions slip in there and ruin a good trajectory and a good legacy. So these are my main 3 points on the true legacy of Elvis Presley, on the impact that he had, an incredible rock and roll Hall of Famer, rock and roll icon, incredible performer, and his legacy is clear that he left a legacy behind. He was a incredible musical influence, and unfortunately that legacy did end in a bit of a negative way, but it serves as a lesson to all of us legacy builders that when we are constructing what we want to see in our future, when we are constructing this better life for our family and for our community and for ourselves, that we have to remember that each decision along the way is critical, and we have to be conscious of how we're building and decisions we make along the way, and the focus, where we put our focus, because that's going to determine, again, how that legacy ends. So I hope you got a lot of value from this video. Thank you again for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next one. I'm doing these videos daily. This is a big challenge for me, because I got a lot going on, but I'm going to continue to keep it on the road. I'm on fire right now. We're doing one a day, and I appreciate every single one of you that actually tunes in, and I would look forward to your comments. If you have any suggestions, like I said, feel free to reach out. Look forward to see all of you in the next one. Take care. Let's legacy up.